Okay, so yeah, like she said, I'm a lactation consultant. I have a private practice here. I go and see moms in their homes to help with breastfeeding. I'm breastfeeding my 2.5-year-old. He's having a fun day with Dad right now. And we're not going to talk about how to breastfeed right now. We're going to talk about things that you can buy to prepare for breastfeeding or things you can do ahead of time to set yourself up for success. And you guys are welcome to ask questions if you have any. And I hope I don't repeat too much information that you've already heard in your breastfeeding class. But I think the most important thing you can do to set yourself up for success is to take a breastfeeding class. A lot of people have the idea that breastfeeding is normal and natural, their baby has instincts to latch on, so they don't need to learn anything, their baby will just take care of it. And part of that's true, but it's also a learned process for both mom and baby, and so I think it really helps if you prepare yourself ahead of time with information about what a good latch looks like, what it feels like, what's normal newborn behavior, so that you're prepared with that once you have your baby. So there's breastfeeding classes all over. There's one here at the birth center. I'm teaching one this afternoon. There's others at different hospitals. Lactation consultants will usually come to your home and teach you one in person if you'd rather have a private one. So I would suggest taking a breastfeeding class. They're usually anywhere from 1.5 hours to 3 hours depending on how much information is covered. And they usually talk about like pumping or if you're going back to work and those sorts of things as well. The next thing I think that's important is to have a support system. Breastfeeding can be really challenging for new moms, and it can feel really isolating if you're at home by yourself breastfeeding all the time. And so it can help if you have people to talk to vent to empathize with, ask questions. Is it normal that my baby's nursing all night? So if you have friends that are having babies around the same time, that's a great support system. If you don't, there's a good built-in one. It's called Lactation League. Have any of you heard of that before? Yeah, has anyone been to a meeting yet? They welcome people to come when they're pregnant. A lot of people will go in their 3rd trimester. But it's a nonprofit breastfeeding support group. It's run by Lactation League leaders, which are women that have all breastfed their own babies and they have additional breastfeeding training. And the groups are free. You can call the leader with questions any time of the day, night or day. They're open 24/7 for questions. And then if you go in person to the meetings, they're usually held at like libraries. There's one at LDS Hospital. They're all over the place. But the meeting is full of other breastfeeding moms. They all bring their babies. They all nurse together and they ask questions. They vent, they talk to each other, and the leader kind of moderates the group, but she's not running the group. It's run by the moms. And they also have like play groups, so you can go to the zoo with your Lactation League friends, go on walks together. They all have Facebook pages, so that's a great one to get involved with. Definitely go while you're pregnant, and then go again once baby's here. Even though as a lactation consultant I feel like I have all the answers, I still love my Lactation League groups. I still go just to talk to other moms and like get validated when my husband doesn't understand what I'm going through. He's really supportive, but he doesn't get it sometimes, and so it's nice to talk to other moms who totally do. So I would suggest finding Lactation League by you. If you just Google Lactation League in your city, like Murray or West Jordan or Salt Lake, there's groups all over the place. There's even one in Park City now. So yeah, find Lactation League. Another good one is to find a lactation consultant. Usually most people don't need to see an IBCLC unless they're having lots of problems like babies losing weight, really sore nipples, things like that. But if you are having those problems, that's not the time to find a lactation consultant. You want to know one ahead of time. I'm a lactation consultant. There's others in the Valley. The birth center has a list of them. I've got my cards here if anybody would like to pick one up later. But have the number of a good IBCLC on hand so that if things are troublesome, you have someone to call. The next thing I think is important is to read as much as you can now while you're pregnant, because once baby's here, it's going to be hard to read anything. So one of my favorite books, and I've read lots of breastfeeding books. I've probably read 20 of them. This is my favorite. It's The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. It's put out by Lactation League. It's an awesome breastfeeding book. I love it. It's falling apart because I've read it so many times. Another good one that Lactation League writes is called Sweet Sleep. I think most parents, their biggest concerns are how much is baby eating and how is baby sleeping. And this book addresses breastfeeding, and then Sweet Sleep addresses sleep. And it's written from the perspective of a breastfeeding family. So how can you get the most sleep at night while meeting your baby's breastfeeding needs? Because they are going to need to nurse at night. Most babies don't sleep through the night. Most young children don't sleep through the night. So having a book that understands what's biologically normal and how to address those while nursing is really important. So The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding and Sweet Sleep. Those are both really great ones to read. So, yeah. What's that?
Oh, I just have a niece that's like a couple months, or like a few months. She sleeps like 12 hours.
That's awesome. That's not
normal. I'm like, please, I want my baby to be that way.
There's always like the ones at the opposite end of the spectrum. There's the ones that are like these awesome sleepers, and then there's the ones that wake up like every hour, like until they're 5. Most babies are somewhere in the middle.
She like loves going in her crib. She just like smile and kind of gets all comfortable and falls asleep.
Maybe since your kids are related, you'll
I
get a
know,
little
we're
bit of that.
sleepers, so I'm thinking my baby will sleep well too.
Hopefully. But yeah, this book talks about how you can maximize your sleep while meeting your baby's needs, so it's a good one. What else? Oh, my next favorite tip for new moms is to have a breastfeeding basket. This basket's not the best. You could probably find a prettier one. But the idea is you have a basket with all of your stuff in it, and you can take it from room to room when you're nursing. So if you're sitting on the sofa, you have your basket, then you walk to your bedroom, you bring your basket. It just has everything so you're not missing something. Because once you sit down to nurse, you're not going to be getting up for a while. And once that baby is latched on and you're thirsty, like your water bottle's so far and you can't do anything about it. So it's nice to have everything right next to you. The things I like in my nursing basket is a one-handed water bottle, so something like with a straw or like a button. If you have to open it with two hands, it's going to be really hard while you're nursing. So one-handed is nice. Some kind of one-handed, not messy snack that's calorie dense because you're going to be hungry while you're nursing. You're not going to be able to eat with like a plate and a fork while you're breastfeeding. That's not going to happen. So one-handed is awesome. Have a couple of those in your basket, like dried fruit, nuts, granola bars, something along those lines. Nursing pads. Not everybody leaks while nursing, but a lot of women do. I'd say about half of women will leak and half of women won't. So it might be nice to have a few on hand until you know what your body's going to do. I like reusable ones. They're soft and you can throw them in the wash. Other people like disposable ones. But having a couple in your basket is handy. Having a diaper and wipes is also handy because most babies, when they breastfeed, they poop. They usually poop every feeding or every other feeding, and you don't want to have to get up and go get a diaper, so having it right there is handy. And then my other thing I like to recommend for new moms is a nipple cream. Having tender nipples can be normal with nursing. Having damaged nipples, I don't call that normal. So if you have like scabs or wounds or blisters, you would want to see somebody about the latch. But just having a little bit of tenderness can be normal in those first few weeks. So a nipple cream like lanolin, or my favorite is Earth Mama Angel Baby. But there's lots of different creams. People will use coconut oil or olive oil. Those can all help if your nipples are feeling a little bit tender. So that's the nursing basket. And if you have like older kids, you put like toys in there for them to play with, other things like that. I think you guys are all first moms, yeah? And then the last thing I think is super important with nursing is a carrier that you can nurse in. There's lots of baby carriers out there, but there's only a few that you can really nurse in. And when your baby's firstborn, you're probably going to want to sit at home to nurse, be on the couch, recover, which is nice. But eventually you're going to get some cabin fever and you're going to want to leave. And being able to nurse while you're walking is awesome. So my favorite for nursing a newborn is a ring sling. And what's nice with this carrier is you put the baby in, and once they're in, you can adjust it to be at breast level. You can loosen it, you can tighten it, all with the baby in there. With other carriers, you have to take the baby out, readjust it, put baby back in, and then nurse. So with these, you never have to take them out. So these are awesome for the newborn stage. And ring sling isn't a brand, it's just a type of carrier. There's lots of people that make ring slings. So just go on Amazon, look up ring sling. As long as it has a pair of rings, it's going to be adjustable. So these are great for the newborn period. Some other ones that are better for babies with head control, like the Ergo. It's like a buckle carrier. You can nurse in that one. You can lower the baby and raise them, all with them staying in the carrier. Some of the other ones, like the wraps, like the Moby wrap, those are really comfortable for mom and baby, but they're harder to nurse in because you can't lower the baby and then raise them back up. You have to like take them out, rewrap it, and then put them back in. So it can be a little bit cumbersome in the beginning. So I would say find a carrier that you can nurse in. Some of the other ones, like the Bjorns where the baby faces out, those are awesome for later. They would be hard to nurse in though. So finding ones that you can nurse in is great. So those are the ones that I think are most crucial for nursing. There are other things that a lot of people recommend, like the boppy, like the nursing pillows, the covers, bottles, pacifiers. Those aren't necessary for nursing. I think the ones that we just talked about were the core ones. Depending on your situation, you might need other things with nursing. Like if you're going to be going back to work, you want to buy other things like a pump. With the Affordable Care Act, you get a free breast pump if you guys didn't know that. It's a free double electric pump. You just call your insurance company and you can get it sent to you. You don't need a pump though if you're going to be at home with your baby. If you're with your baby, there's no reason to pump and bottle feed. It's a lot more work and you can just put baby on the breast. If you are going to be separated, then a pump is important. The pillows, like the breast friend and the boppies, those aren't needed for all women. If you've got like longer breasts, you might not want a boppy because you're just going to have your baby in your lap and your breast kind of drops right down to their face. If you've got really high perky breasts, you might want something to help lift baby up like a boppy, but I would say that's going to be dependent on each woman. Same with nursing covers. They're like those big cape things that people put over themselves to hide everything. You don't need to have a cover to nurse in Utah, especially anywhere in the U.S. You have the right to breastfeed anywhere you have the right to be. You're able to breastfeed uncovered, full breast exposed, and that's your legal right.
anywhere that's open to the public, like the grocery store, the mall, the movies, whatever, you're allowed to breastfeed there uncovered, so you don't have to cover up. Some women choose to because it makes them feel better, but don't feel like you have to buy something like that for other people.